This is Eric from Barrel and Hatchet, and this episode's a special one, and this is my story. Let's go ahead and roll the intro. Hey everybody, thanks again for checking out another Hatchet Cast episode. And today is a special episode. We actually just had the 5.56 gas gun challenge, the Barrel and Hatchet match, yesterday. So didn't have a lot of time to put together other content like we typically do, as far as because we had a lot of stuff going towards this match and this event, as well as we have some upcoming classes that also have, taken up a lot of time. So I thought it was the perfect time to kind of talk about my story and kind of reflect at the end of a chapter that is happening here at Barrel and Hatchet, and a new chapter that's opening for Barrel and Hatchet as well. If you guys haven't done so already, please hit the like and subscribe button. It really does help myself, Roy, and Tyler out a lot. It really does mean a lot. We also have a subscription service, and we're also talking about releasing episodes early to those subscribers, but also have other perks that we're going to be involving as well, such as classes that you can attend for no cost, and also different types of perks, Q&A sessions, etc., etc. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we're brainstorming, so if you guys have ideas, shoot them in the comments. We'd love to hear your ideas about the subscription service, and it's a way that also that helps keep the channel going. But with that being said, I just kind of want to jump right into it. So a lot of folks ask and are curious, do you have a military background? For those who know, I'm not going to go super in-depth into it, but do come from a military background, and that kind of leads me off on my story. I actually started Barrel and Hatchet back, I say, in 2017. Didn't really know what it was going to be. Originally thought it was going to be more of like a training style company, training, citizens who want to be prepared. And this is while I was still in and on active, just didn't really know what I was doing with it. And so developed a logo, developed a couple of things, and opened up an Instagram page and just started making things happen, but not really. Didn't really have any direction. And that started for a long time, was just no direction. And, the Instagram page started gaining traction. It was mostly like kind of just like military style posts and stuff of that nature. But I didn't really know what was going to happen. Ended up separating from the service in 2019, and doing it part-time now. Still do the same exact job that I did on active. But there were some things towards those last few years in the service that really kind of impacted my worldview. And kind of help shape what Barrel and Hatchet became, and also how I live my life personally later on. But ended up leaving military and coming down to Florida, and got connected to Ben from Wiseman Company, and ended up helping set up a range. There's a family that owns a range, and it's called JTAC Ranch. And, was working with Ben to help get everything going that the owners had already, got kickstarted, and we were just carrying the baton on. And what this place developed into grew bigger than anybody could have imagined. And so what's crazy is we do, these, we call them open gyms, or these run and gun style shoots. And in the beginning, it was super small. And it was, I think, only like a few guys that showed up. And we were planning on doing it once a week. And it was mostly intended to be a system where it was like a couple of guys getting ready to go shoot and do some drills together. That's what the entire premise was supposed to be. And kind of a community builder, but mostly just guys getting together to shoot once a week. And so, you know, we have a huge bay. It's 120 yards deep and 50 yards wide, and we do all kinds of stuff in here. And very quickly, it started to grow. It started blowing up. It really did. So, you know, Ben would build these stages, and we would have weights or implements that we would have. Eventually, we started putting some crazy weights in there. But just like running and practical style shooting. We were shooting on the move and engaging targets and working together as a team and working with a partner. You know, realistic application of shooting, which is really, really cool. And it wasn't a class. It wasn't a training class. Now, what we did start doing is we were obviously vetting guys to make sure that they could be safe enough to be able to participate. You know, we still did have classes. I taught the classes here at JTAC, and we had training classes, and a lot of guys saw that type of shooting and that style of training and wanted to go to classes to get better at shooting so they could participate in these run and gun style sessions. And it blew up, and it completely revolutionized training down here in Florida. I think honestly it will take effect across the country. But down here in Florida, it was a very gun owner you know, state, but not really a training state. So not really a bunch of people who got together and actually invested in themselves. So as the word got out there and the community started to grow and the group started to grow, it became very competitive and really cool. And I want to say probably about a year in, there was, I would say, almost an elitist type of aura feel growing within that group, in the group that we had here. And I remembered back in the military, you know, in the military, there's a heavy emphasis on achievement. There's a heavy emphasis on the beret, specifically, depending on the branch or the badge. And so I remember there was almost this elitist type of culture. So in special warfare or special operations, it's even more so. And you know, my last few years in the military, it became where if there is any measure or any type of success or even self-promotion in any way for your business, your job, or whatever, it was like an unspoken sin. And actually, I thought, you know, I've listened to Mr. Ballin talk about this. He went on a podcast recently talking about how the SEAL community on active duty, the active duty SEAL community, has just absolutely, you know, insulted him and just tore him down to a point where he was actually in a state of depression. And I actually also was in a state of depression. I mean, some pretty dark depression my last couple of years in. And, you know, it went from being in a community that I loved, being, you know, holding the beret was a identity for me, and which was also a mistake. You know, never letting a job have control over your life where it is your identity. You are who you are. And also as a Christian myself, like, my identity is in Christ. So you know, there were folks that I looked up to in the military, in my own unit, that I highly respected, that were kind of just coming at me and just tearing me down, or you know, talking to other team members and stuff like that, and just really laying it on to a point where I just, you know, I didn't say anything back, but like it really made me sad, because there are people I really respected and looked up to. But it was that almost like, you know, you got the crab that's trying to crawl out the bucket, and there's a bunch of other crabs grabbing them and trying to pull them back in. And that specifically within special warfare communities or special operations communities is very, very true. Where, if there's any amount of success by a member outside of that community, it is highly frowned upon. It's you know, they're slandered and they're just talked about and gossiped about, and it's really crappy. It was just a very toxic thing. So leaving that behind was really, really a huge impact for me, because I left that toxicity behind. And luckily the new unit that I went to and I'm still in now has none of that toxicity. And it is so refreshing to be around. But with those tight-knit communities, yes, they're tight-knit, but at the same time, there's a hate for success almost outside of the job. And so, you know, that toxicity almost drove me to a point of extreme depression. You know, started drinking a lot, and really going down a dark road. And the gun industry kind of saved me from that. Like, it kind of brought me out of that loss. I had a huge passion for training in the military, a huge passion for guns and training and preparedness, you know, when I was in. I absolutely loved it. And so having the opportunities to be able to do that on the civilian side was incredible. And it pulled me out of that state of deep, dark depression, and also the rut that I was in, and gave me a new identity. And the big thing is whenever I came into this community, in the gun industry and in the gun community, I promised myself that I would never identify with the job again. I had gone and done that, you know, in my military career, identified heavily with my job. It became my entire identity, and who I was, and the measure of who I was. And you just don't want to do that, because jobs end. At the end of the day, it's just a job. And there are so many more important things that matter that come as a result of the job that are much more precious and much more lasting. So anyways, I got pulled out of that by given opportunities, and I really just cherish every moment, and I still do. Cherish every moment and opportunity that I had, knowing that every day was a blessing, and that any day it could be gone and taken away from me. So as we got really good into this group, and the group was growing, and it started to develop its own little culture, and friends and relationships were starting, with that it also started to form cliques. And I absolutely hate cliques. And the reason why I hate cliques is because I saw what happened. You know, we had individual teams within our unit, and each team had its own loyalties and little groups. And then within that, there was also little cliques within those teams. And they never went out and did anything with each other or whatever, or there'd be rivalries. And it was just terrible. Cliques are absolutely terrible. And it's human nature, but it is absolutely terrible. So I started to notice cliques forming in our group as well, and it's human nature for that to happen, and almost this elitist type of culture, because when you start performing at a very high level, it becomes very competitive. When you're competing all the time, and I was terrified for what I saw, and it was something that I absolutely hated within the military side of my life. And now that was forming on this other side of my life. And, you know, I've always made it a point to not be somebody who is stuck within a clique or stuck within a group. If I get settled down into a group where it's too cliquey, I start to branch out and start talking with other groups and working with them, and as well, trying to branch out. But I absolutely hated seeing that, and I see it with that clique type of thing happening, and it happens throughout the entire culture of the industry. These type of cliques, and so I think, you know, changing things up and talking to folks within the group and saying, hey man, like, we gotta not have cliques, and fighting against that, or fighting against any type of badge of performance, you know, because then it's so easy for that elitist type of culture to take hold, take root, and then it's in there forever. So I was terrified of this happening within this culture and in this group that we had here. And luckily, the group was able to grow through it and branch out and continue to open its arms to new people and to new shooters and to new faces, and also take those who weren't as skilled that needed the additional help and bringing them up to make sure that they were good to go. And now the group here is self-sustaining. It is self-sustaining, and they have their own group chat. They have their own, you know, times that they meet up and go outside the range, and it is bigger than anything that we could have ever imagined in the beginning. And now it is its own thing, and it went from it being a job thing where, like, you know, helping run these sessions and stuff like that, and, you know, to now it became a complete life, like a complete lifestyle for me, and for the guys in it, to where now these guys who are not just clients or students who come to training, but they now have become good, solid, deep friends, and huge long-lasting relationships have been developed from here. And I would do anything for this group, absolutely anything. They have changed my life. They have changed Roy's life and Tyler's life, and you know, speaking for Barrel and Hatchet and for me specifically, not even speaking for Roy or Tyler, but for me specifically, my life has been changed by the men and women in this group, and it's driven me to become better. And I think that's the one thing that I see in our industry is, you know, we were just up in Pennsylvania at Benjamin Franklin Range, and the one thing, they have an incredible facility, all the amenities. If you're a trainer and you're an instructor, which we're going to be holding classes up there more often, if you're a trainer or instructor, that facility literally has everything, has lodging, amenities, training. So if you're up north, it is worth the drive. And also you can stay at the facility in their lodging. So you can, if you're going for a class, you can stay overnight at the lodging, and not have to find a hotel. And it's right there by the range, and it's really good price. But what they lacked is the actual community of shooters like we have here in Florida. And I thought that spoke volumes for what we have here and how important it is to preserve it, but also how it's growing and how it should be implemented in all ranges in all states. And that's the one thing that we get and tons of comments on our channel is, how do we have that type of community here? And it takes people to get together and start including other people and bringing in new shooters into your group. If you go out to a class, or for example, we hold a class in your area and Barrel and Hatchet holds a class, connecting with the other students in the class and saying, hey, like, let's get together, you know, in a couple weeks at the range, and we'll work on these skill sets. And that's how you grow it. It grows from other people being accepting and letting new shooters in, or new folks that they've never trained with, versus it closing off and becoming a clique. And now that group has really pretty much just closed itself off. It's an enclosed cell that no longer will grow in size or make an impact in the community. So, you know, I think that whether it comes to brand, and this is why we at Barrel and Hatchet, we're not brand loyal. We are loyal to the group of shooters and the group of people who are in the community, and actually in the community, that's who we're loyal to. We're loyal to the listener who is trying to figure out what to get. We're not loyal to a specific brand, because in that same way, there are cliques that form because of brand. So, you know, we try to branch out and look for things that are of high quality that we can run to be able to continue to train. But at the end of the day, all of this training and all of this shooting and stuff that we do together literally goes towards one purpose and one point, and that is to build a community around that, around common interests, around the passion for readiness and the passion for training and the passion for equipment and gear. I think that's the whole point of all of it. If you don't have the community, you may have all the training and all that stuff, but if you don't have the community, it's nothing. It really doesn't mean anything. You know, who wants to live by themselves when the world's over and be completely alone? So that is the one thing that, you know, I saw from a military perspective, is that I had a community and a very tight-knit group and a tight-knit job in the military, but it was nothing compared to what we have here and what I have in my life with this group and this community that we have here. And the one thing that I want to do, and I can't speak for Roy and Tyler, but I know that they're going to be of the same opinion, is that we want to spread this type of connective culture, and you know, whether it's through video, whether it's through our channel, you know, we wanted to be real, and that way when people came into class, you know, or came and trained with us, they would be able to approach us, and we would not be some different person than we are on camera. We're the same people on camera as we are off. And so the whole point is establishing relationships and building community and building a positive environment for us to be able to learn and grow. And that is why, you know, approaching things from humility, for me, that's a huge struggle, is pride. And so I'm always trying to knock my pride down and approach things from a humble heart. Even though I teach guns for a living, I teach training for a living along with Roy, I still consider myself, and I know Roy does as well as Tyler, a professional student who is always able to learn. Just remember that whenever you know everything, your glass is full and you have stopped your journey. There is no way for you to grow. So I know that was a very long-winded video, but I just wanted to kind of get that off my chest and kind of just share that a little bit piece about me. And for those of you who come and train with us in the future, and what we want to establish at Barrel and Hatchet is a community. We want to establish a place for people to connect, a place for people to talk about common interests, a place to be able to continue to train and better and invest in yourself, and that's what we want. And I know that mission set is going to be highly successful, not because of us, but because of you, the shooter, and the group and the community that we have here. You guys are what make it successful. You guys are the one that drive the torch and carry the baton forward. We are just glad to be a part of it. And so that may have been quite a ramble, but your support does mean a lot. It helps us to continue to do what we do, to continue to be able to drive on, to help fulfill this mission set. So a great way to support us is obviously come and train with us. Come and train with myself and Roy. It is so humbling and awesome to see shooters that travel from different states to come to our classes, and it is a humbling thing to experience. Or fans of the channel who feel connected to the Barrel and Hatchet family, and that's exactly what we wanted. It is still a humbling experience, and it will still always humble us. So I want to thank all of you who have followed the channel or are new followers in the channel. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for following. We hope to meet every one of you one day and to also train with you. And if you have any questions, obviously hit us up. You know where to find us. Sometimes it takes a long time to get through a lot of messages, but a faster way is to, you know, for our subscription service, that helps us to be able to filter out those questions, to be able to answer those first, and then work through the other ones that come down into the inbox. So from the bottom of our hearts, we really do appreciate it. From the bottom of our hearts, we hope and know that the community and the industry will change to be more of a collective versus individual groups. And Barrel and Hatchet will do everything in our power to facilitate what we have here, to make it happen through our channel, through messaging, through training, whatever. Real quick, I'm wearing a Ghost chest rig from us. This is a Tiger Stripe chest rig from Lunar Concepts. And this is also the Griffin Armament 11.5 CQB SBR. It does have the dual lock 7 can on it. Super excited to run this and see how she does so far. It's been extremely promising, but there will be a video coming out on this. So just wanted to show you guys that since I have it here on the table and what that looks like. Full ambidextrous controls. It is a Mark II series, so really, really neat to see. But anyways, guys, make sure you guys go out and train. Find the people in your community. Start working together. You are the ones that start your community by taking action and assembling the group to be able to go out and train and find like-minded people in common interests to be able to start those relationships that last for a lifetime. Like always, guys, make sure that you are the asset and not the liability, and we will see you on the next one. And a last post note before this video is over, this is for the community that is here in Florida that we train with. You guys are awesome. We are never going to give up. I know for myself, I can speak for myself, and I know that Roy and Tyler would agree, but we will always be there. The community will not die because a location closes or goes away. There will be another location that will open back up, another place to always train, but the community will always last forever and it will stay around. And I am very honored to be a part of the community. I'm so honored that you guys let us be a part of the community, and thank you so much for everything that you have done and the impact you have had on our lives. And I know from Team Barrel and Hatchet, for myself, and also for Roy and Tyler, we are forever indebted to you and are always honored to train and hang out and have friendships with every single one of you. So for everybody else out there, build a community, kickstart something great in your area, find common-like people with common interests that you can work with and that you can build relationships with, because in the end, we're all gonna need each other. And so, as a final message from Eric at Barrel and Hatchet, thank you so much for watching this video, thank you so much for the support, and we'll see you.